Thank you, Mark. It is such a joy to be back. It's definitely been a busy, full time since I gave birth in March, and this feels like a very auspicious way to start off a new secular year by teaching for IJS again. I wanted to give a brief teaching before our sit. So this year was the first New Year's in a while that I didn't stay up until midnight to ring in the new year. The reason being that I have this almost 10-month-old baby who wakes up between 6 and 7 in the morning, no matter what time I go to bed or what time he goes to bed. And so my spouse and I thought it was probably wiser for us to just go to bed early rather than stay up late. And, you know, I told myself, I'm Jewish. I already got my New Year's in the fall. I can let this one go. No big deal. But I have to admit, I felt a bit sad when we got in bed at 10:30 at night on December 31st. And it brought up this whole unexpected slew of feelings and thoughts, comparisons to the past, the intense paradigm shift of becoming a first-time parent. And though this parenthood journey has been full of so much more joy and love than I ever could have expected or anticipated, it's messy, it's physically messy, it's emotionally messy, and it comes with some significant losses. I found myself on New Year's Eve feeling rather melancholy and thinking about who I used to be versus who I am now versus who I should be. And I think New Year's tends to do this to a lot of us, tends to bring up or invite the striving, comparing, competitive mind to go into overdrive and make it hard to accept ourselves for who we are and how we are right now. Our Parsha this week has some wisdom for us in this regard. Jacob's on his deathbed, and Joseph, who has been living in Egypt for years, goes to see him. And he brings his 2 sons that he had with his Egyptian wife, Asenath, Ephraim and Manasseh. At first, Jacob seems a bit shocked, and he asks Joseph, "Who are these?" One theory about his confusion is that Ephraim and Manasseh likely would have looked Egyptian, maybe with jewelry, makeup, different clothing, not like his own people. And yet, without hesitation, he draws them in close for a blessing and accepts them as his family, just as they are. His acceptance isn't conditional on them changing their religion, changing their appearance, losing weight, tidying up, starting a journaling practice, counting their steps, learning to play the guitar, meal prepping every Sunday. Jacob just accepts them as they are. Though his blessing over them is a bit complex as he reverses the order and gives the younger son an arguably better blessing, perhaps this too could be a way that he is extending acceptance to himself, also a younger child who had to strive and disguise himself as his older brother to be worthy of blessing. Perhaps it's his way of offering a blessing of love to his younger self, as if to say, "You who thought you were not good enough, who were told you were lesser than, you were and are good enough, exactly as you are." This moment becomes the basis for a traditional blessing we give to children on Shabbat. May you be like Ephraim and Manasseh. This could be such a powerful affirmation from parents, caregivers, teachers to children. We accept you just as you are, unconditionally. It's also a powerful reminder to all of us who constantly forget this as well and believe that we're never enough as we are. Self-compassion teacher Kristen Neff writes, "What does it mean to be a compassionate mess?" To be a compassionate mess means that instead of focusing on getting it right, we focus on opening our hearts Even though it's important to try to alleviate our suffering by making needed changes in our lives, the truth is we'll surely fail over and over again. This is what it means to be human. So in our sit today, at the start of this new secular year, I invite us all to rest, to be the human beings that we are, to be a compassionate mess, to feel the fullness of our living presence, and to let that be enough. So at this time, I'd like to invite you to find a comfortable position for our meditation practice. Find a position that is responsive to where your body is at right now. You can sit, you can stand, you can lie down. Allowing your eyes to close or softening your gaze with your eyes gently open. Feel free to refrain from any instructions that I give that aren't wise for your body, heart, or mind. Make any adjustments that you need. So settling into this moment of presence, this moment of being. Grounding in sensations that help you to arrive. Feeling the soles of your feet on the earth. Your seat. Your hands. The feeling of fabric on your skin. The breath flowing in and out. Gently noticing whatever is prominent for you right now in the body. Any emotions. Any thoughts. And allowing yourself to be as you are in this moment. We're going to sit silently for a little while, and during this time, I invite you to gently rest in your awake, noble presence, just as you are, without needing to change anything. If you get lost or distracted, gently noticing whatever has arisen, allowing it to be. Coming home to this moment of being. We'll sit silently for a little while. Noticing if you've gotten pulled into striving, judging, efforting, fixing, gently noticing that, welcoming yourself home to the moment, this moment of being you just as you are. We'll continue silently for a few more minutes. Coming home to your presence, sitting here in this moment, feeling your connection with the ground, with your seat, the touch of your hands, sensations arising and passing throughout the body. Breath flowing in and out. Sealing our practice with a song inspired by Psalm 36. with words by Rabbi David Zeller. Please feel free to sing along on mute, offering yourself these words as a blessing for yourself. If someone from IJS would want to share the words, thank you. Makor chaim, Kimcha makor chaim, Kimcha makor chaim, Beorcha nirei or, Beorcha nirei or, Beorcha nirei or, Beorcha nirei or, Beorcha nirei or. For with you is the source of life. For with you is the source of life. For with you is the source of life. In your light we see light. In your light do we see light. In your light do we see light. In your light do we see light. In your light we see light. Wish to be where you want to be. Wish to be where you want to be. Wish to be where you want to be. Wish to be where you are. Wish to be where you are right now. Wish to be where you are right now. Wish to be where you are right now. Wish to be where you are. Wish to be who you want to be. Wish to be who you want to be. Wish to be who you want to be. Wish to be who you are. Wish to be who you are right now. Wish to be who you are right now. Wish to be who you are right now. Wish to be who you are. Kimcha makor chaim, Kimcha makor chaim, Kimcha makor chaim, Beorcha nirei or, Beorcha nirei or, Beorcha nirei or, Beorcha nirei Wishing us all a new year full of self-acceptance, of being compassionate messes, of embracing ourselves fully and completely. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Emily. A beautiful practice, beautiful chant by Rabbi David Zeller. Thank you so much. It's great to have you back. Friends, we seal the practice as we do each day by offering an opportunity for those of you who are in mourning or observing a yard site, or if it's your custom to participate in Kaddish, to do so, and for those who are not reciting Kaddish, to simply, oops. Are people not hearing me? Thumbs up. Yep, I think people are hearing me. Okay, got in chat that people couldn't hear. If you're reciting Kaddish, please put the name or names of those you're honoring today in the chat box. If you're not reciting Kaddish, please stay present. You're creating a minyan of comfort and support and compassion for those who are. And thanks to Kat Esposito for sharing the words of the Kaddish on the screen. And if you are reciting it, I invite you to join me by rising in body or in spirit to recite the words together. You can, those who are reciting Kaddish can unmute themselves now. Yit Gadal, Gadash Me Rabba, Ma Divra Hayechon, Haye Dechol Beit Yisrael, Agalav,
Amen.
Keshme Rabba Mevarach, Ar Vitramam
Amen.
Friends, thank you so much for joining us today. As always, of course, everyone is invited to stay on for some conversation with our teacher for today, Emily Herzlin. Looking forward to that in a minute. If you're leaving us now, we hope you'll join us tomorrow. Just a reminder that all the sessions are live streamed as well on our YouTube channel, and all the recordings are posted there as well. So if you missed any part of today's teaching or practice, you can always revisit it, or any other of the past practice sessions that we've held. And if you're leaving us now, we hope to see you tomorrow or sometime soon. If you're staying on and would like to, of course, you're always welcome to share your reflections on your experience with the practice in the chat box, which is open again. But if you have a question you'd like to put to our teacher today, Emily Herzlin, please preface it by writing question in all caps, and I'll keep an eye out for that. Emily, I need thinking, oh, you're good, okay. All right, well, I'm very taken with this. As a parent myself, I definitely needed this teaching today of being a compassionate mess. And I just wanted to invite you to say a little bit more about that phrase and whatever you've got on that. I know that in the absence of our daily sessions, it was hard for me to sustain a practice. And man, I get off the compassion track very, very quickly, vis-a-vis myself and others, particularly in my family. So what do you got on compassionateness?
It's a new phrase for me too. I actually just came across it earlier this morning. Kristen Neff is a teacher who I follow online, and I don't know if she's a parent, but I really connected with it. The house is a mess. Everything is a mess. with a baby, and also just, being a human being and being in school and working, and things get messy. And it just really resonated with me, this idea of allowing messiness, of not judging the messiness, of acknowledging that you're not a failure, that it's complicated, and how we meet that mess. I think especially in front of my baby, in front of my child, and the attitude that I bring to not just the physical mess, but when things are really challenging, what is he learning from me in my responses to things that are challenging and difficult. And so I'm definitely not perfect, but really trying to bring as much compassion and modeling as much compassion as I can. That's what I want him to take in. It's what I want myself to take in.
Amen to that. So yes, and I'll say, when you said what he takes in from observing you, I'll speak for myself here, that like I also feel the same way, and I find it very hard to rebound from my quote, when I'm a mess as a parent or whatever, substitute friend, partner, colleague, whatever, right? There is the internal judgment of that little wince, right, of missed the mark there, right, which then can be compounded by, and someone else experienced me who I really want to show up for as missing the mark. Like, so with parenting, I think it's, there's that kind of double whammy there, because we want to do right by our kids, and yet all the time, just speak to somebody down the hall, we fall short. And then there's sort of that fear of it rebounding. So anyway, I guess what I'm saying is that I really appreciated hearing this message, and I can just see that it operates on a number of different levels, both in terms of the judgments towards ourselves and towards others. But let me ask you this, in terms of, do you think there is a risk of taking it too far? I don't think so, but I'm wondering, I'm play devil's advocate here, like, well, isn't there a place for judgment? Where does judgment come in?
Well, I mean, there's a difference between judgment and discernment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, being with what is right now non-judgmentally means that everything is always permitted. We do have to be discerning. We have to set boundaries. We have to say no. Sometimes, often, we have to put limits on ourselves and others. That to me is different from non-judgment, and is very important, and is something that we cultivate in mindfulness practice all the time. But something that just came up for me as you were talking about, that modeling, and it occurs to me, that I don't know that it's necessarily a bad thing that we slip up in front of other people. I think about the meditation teachers and the spiritual teachers that I've had throughout my life, and the ones that I connect with the most are not the ones that seem perfect and have no flaws and never mess up, but the ones that are like me, that are human, that are that have flaws, and talk about them and communicate and relate about what comes up in their own life. And so while I want to show up as a compassionate, loving, aware person, I think it's also not bad to model that I'm also imperfect, that human beings are imperfect, and we're allowed to make mistakes, and we can recover from those mistakes. And it's very important to learn how to recover from those mistakes and apologize and make amends. So I don't actually think it's all that bad to mess up in front of anybody, as long as we can meet it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. That's true. And I think just want to like put a point on and underscore your substitution of the word discernment for judgment, right? I think in this realm that we're operating, you and I and everyone here, mindful Judaism, the Hebrew word there of gevura or din, which are usually used, when it comes to, like you were saying, setting boundaries, setting limits, that the English word judgment carries with it a certain valence, right? Like you were saying. Maybe, I don't know what you think about this, but we're really talking about judgment without shame, I think, right? Kind of draining the shame, or at least the toxic shame from that judgment that does not serve us it does not serve us in doing better, like the self-flagellation or self-abasement, right? But having enough of, noticing that we're missing the mark in a way that is inevitable, that we can't avoid, right? So
Yeah. And I think also along with that, words like good or bad, right or wrong, go along to me with judgment, that sort of unhelpful quality. I think we're talking about with discernment, even just that word helpful. Is it helpful or unhelpful? Is it nourishing or denourishing? Is it sustaining or destructive? Yeah, it's interesting, just those minute differences in words and how they can make a difference in how we are relating to what's coming up.
I think it can make a very big difference, and I'm glad that's why I was feeling grateful that I'm noticing in the chat some really nice observations, not questions necessarily, but observations that making mistakes as a parent or substitute, again, anything is natural. That making mistakes is natural. It's what we do with the mess that matters, and modeling clearing up the mess is most helpful to children, and might add to everyone, really, right? I'm thinking about just the simplest thing of, and I don't know, you have an infant, I guess, who's not moving towards toddlerhood, where the adage of spilled milk, and noticing our instinctive reaction when somebody knocks something over, or we knock something over, and how quickly we rebound from the mess. And each of us has a different capacity for coping with mess. Say, oh, it's no big deal, let's clean it up. How it sounds easy, so it's very challenging. Someone else mentioned, I'll ask you this question. I guess we can vary in this. Like sometimes we're in a better place to be able to rebound or accept the infuse the mess with compassion. And other times we might be tired, or already agitated or triggered, or hungry, or hangry, or whatever it might be, where the capacity is low. So I want to invite you to say something about that. Like what happens when we see like, oh, this is a situation where I see like I might have responded more wisely, more compassionately, but I just don't have it,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can relate. I don't know if you can relate to that.
Oh, as a sleep deprived parent, not at all. Yeah, I think, one of the things that has been so helpful about mindfulness practice for me over the years has been, again, not all the time, but an overall increase in being able to notice when I'm low on resources or lower on resources, so that I can hopefully try to intervene with myself earlier on to at least give myself a little break, a little moment, a sip of water. I keep a bag of almonds over here all the time if I get a little hungry, so I don't have to go too far, because it's really easy to not eat with a new baby and then to be running on fumes. So to try to be aware in more of those moments when, the gas tank is getting lower, to try to read those cues earlier. And again, just as you said, sometimes we don't read those cues earlier. And so the coming back from it, I love what someone wrote in the chat. Can we start again?
Mm-hmm.
Just, can we start? I love that. I want to take that. Okay, so here we are. I'm noticing that didn't go well. That didn't go the way that I would have liked to show up for that. So how about now? How do I show up now and start again? And a lot of forgiveness practice. I think that word forgiveness, the practice of forgiveness, is sort of folded in with compassion, but it's good to also lift that up more specifically too, as an attitude and as something to cultivate towards ourselves, even if it's aspirational and I can't, forgive myself right now. May I forgive myself in the future if I'm not able to right now? May I plant a seed of forgiveness?
That's really beautiful. Before we end, Emily, we just have a couple of minutes, but I want the question came up, and I also did want to ask you to revisit the beautiful little teaching you had on Jacob's blessing of Ephraim and Manasseh and how it yielded. Can you just repeat, if you can, just quickly, how it reflects this teaching?
So in the Parsha, Jacob blesses the younger son first, giving the better blessing to the younger son, where he should have, it's expected that he would give that bigger blessing to the firstborn. Looking at that from his perspective and in the context of this theme we've explored, to me it seemed like, he himself also, a younger, the second of the twins to be born, who was not automatically granted a birthright, he had to strive, pretend to be other than he was, in order to take a blessing, in order to be worthy of a blessing. And so I'm imagining him in this moment of blessing the younger son as a way of blessing his younger self, who wanted that blessing without hesitation, without shoulds or conditions. Maybe that was a moment of healing for him, something that he wished he could have had when he was a child, when he was young.
Yeah, that's just a beautiful take on that, which can be it can be a very problematic passage. It's a beautiful take on it. Thank you for that, Shkoach. Before we should end, but Emily, I see Nancy's asking, I meant to ask you actually if there's a website for Mindful Astoria or Malchut where people might be able to see what else you're leading these days?
I'll put some links in the chat.
Okay.
I'll do that right now.
Okay, great. While you're doing that, I'm just going to comment on how blessed your son Lev is to have you as a mom. And thank you so much for both your vulnerability and sharing, the blessings of it, and which include the challenges of it as well. And it's just wonderful to have you come back and lead us, and hopefully schedule will allow you to do so again before too long. So, all right, great. So folks can see there's the three links in the chat to Emily's website, to Malchut Queens, which is the community Emily serves as rabbinic intern in Queens and Mindful Astoria. Emily, thank you so much. Great to be with you.
Thank you so much for having me.
A pleasure. Okay, everyone. Again, happy, healthy 2023. Hope to see you tomorrow. We'll be led by Rabbi Susan Leiter tomorrow on Wednesday at our usual time. Hope to see you soon. And until then, be safe and well. Many blessings, everyone.